We continue to replay old Newsmaker shows here on AM 1480 WLEA, looking back into the past. This first segment is from October 16th, 1978. And that's when the Newsmaker show was called Sound Off. Kevin takes calls from listeners who have pretty strong feelings about the idea that was going around then locally about a proposed merger between Bethesda Hospital and St. James Hospital. Again, this is October 16th, 1978. By the way, at that time, the Newsmaker was called Sound Off.
Mozart there. How are you? 18 and a half minutes after 8. Sound Off. 1482 is the number. Good morning, Sound Off.
Good morning. I just want to make a comment on the articles in the editorial page of the paper last night. To a lot of people, this is just disgusting, where this one person wrote and said that go to the Bethesda, you get good care and so forth. I don't believe it that way. I would go to either hospital if I had to, which I have. And the way I feel about this, like the comment he made about what people are going to do who needs abortions and sterilization and so forth. The way I also feel about that is that if you don't want any children, don't intend to have any, don't have an abortion. There's so many things that are on the market today which they didn't have in my time I wouldn't have used anyway. I don't believe in any of those things, or I do not believe in abortion. Why don't they use those and do away with abortion? Is that what hospitals are coming to? Abortion and sterilization so there'll be no children in this world? It just gets a little disgusting. To me, those people are very ignorant and very, very bigoted. And that's it.
Thank you for your call.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a comment there on the hospital merger issue. 1482 is the number that you phone. 324-1482. For Sound Off, it's 20 minutes after 8 here at WLEA in Hornell. And the line is now open, waiting for you. You know, if you're planning on putting new kitchens in the next few months, I strongly recommend that you get down to Main Plumbing and Heating. And you're going to say, now wait, Main Plumbing and Heating, what's that got to do with kitchen cabinets? Well, I'll tell you what it has to do. They went out into the kitchen cabinet field and they decided, if we're going to do this, if we're going to go into kitchen cabinets, then let's go for the best. And that's exactly what the people at Main Plumbing and Heating did. Lois Raish, for example, is so proud of her kitchen cabinetry that she loves to have people stop in the store just to look, even if you're not planning on doing any kitchen remodeling soon. They've got a right to be proud. These kitchen cabinets, I assure you, are the very best. Do they cost more? Well, they cost more than cheap stuff, but they may not cost more than you're willing to pay, especially if you want to go Class A and have something really nice. Now, costs nothing to look, costs nothing to have free estimates. Just give them a call at Main Plumbing. Ask them to stop out to your house and do the measurements. Or if you want, stop and see them. Where is Main Plumbing and Heating? Well, I must tell you, it's not in the heart of things. It's across from the car wash on the lower end of Main Street near the bridge, right across from the car wash. The address is 299 Main. Hornell Electronics is in that area. Maybe you've got an idea what I'm talking about. Or give them a call. They'll come and see you. Main Plumbing and Heating. Good morning.
And down Bethesda, I went there several times, and they weren't for abortions either. And I was served real good. If anybody says anything for Bethesda, somebody always gets on and goes against them. I'm for Bethesda 100%.
Mm-hmm. And you oppose the merger?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you for your call. All right. 1482 is the telephone number. Talking about the hospital. People have been. There are a lot of issues here. A lot of issues. 4 or 5 different levels of issues. And I'm sure that someday we're going to really address the questions as soon as all the facts on the merger are out. We have only right now a very bare outline, and a lot of people have been dissatisfied with what they've seen so far. Perhaps they'll get more dissatisfied, or perhaps the questions will be eased when more and more information becomes available. We were under the impression that more information would be available this week. So far, we've not seen that, but it's possible. 23 minutes after 8, we keep checking the time for those of you on your way to work. And the temperature right now is 48. Weatherman says we got a pretty good chance of rain, and even if I weren't a weatherman, I'd have to agree because you look out the window and it's kind of cloudy and overcast, and you have that feeling in the air that we're going to get a little rain today. But tomorrow is supposed to be a very sunny day. A lot of sunshine. Today's high temperature mid-50s, and tomorrow it'll be closer to 60 degrees. 1482, give us a call on Sound Off. Back to the phone, and your comments after this.
There's a new name in town. Bill's Business Equipment. The name may be new, but the experience sure isn't, because he's backed up by 18 years experience as service technician for Masons of Almond. You're probably thinking, Bill who? Well, we're not talking, but if you want the finest service available for all types and models of business machines, guaranteed with pickup and delivery, call 324-2698 and find out for yourself. Bill's Business Equipment, franchise dealer for Norelco and Royal, Hertz leasing plan available.
Okay, give us a buzz, 324-1482. Want to talk about the hospital merger? Certainly it is a very big topic. We've had no bites on the political campaign, so we'll forget about that. Maybe the day after the election, people will call and say, whatever happened there? There's no no law that says you have to be interested in an election campaign. Seems to me, maybe it's my reflection, but it seems to me there's more apathy every year. But, could be wrong. I don't know whether that all started with Watergate or perhaps Watergate just kind of added to the apathy that was already growing in the country. Very few people really go out and vote, considering the number who are entitled to. Only a fraction of the people really make the decisions about who will and will not serve in office, because most people simply don't care. Which is kind of interesting. That's worth a discussion in itself. Good morning.
Good morning. Did you see the article in the Penny Saver, yesterday's Penny Saver on page 29?
No, I did not.
It says hospital merger. 1, did you know that the proposed merger is not as underlined state mandated? 2, did you know that Bath administrators have stated that Bath hospitals could exist, and it's underlined, without this merger, paid for by the Friends of Bethesda Hospital?
Excuse me, I didn't see that. You say Bath hospitals? Is that what you said?
It says Bath administrators stated that both hospitals could exist without the merger.
Uh-huh.
That's on page 29 in yesterday's Penny Saver.
Mm-hmm. No, I did not see it.
And it's paid for by the Friends of Bethesda Hospital.
Are there any names attached to that?
No.
Uh-huh.
It's a big article, about a quarter of the page.
All right, thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. 26 minutes after the hour, 1482 is the number, and not surprisingly, the merger issue very much before the people. It's dominated our radio talk show. Letters to the editor has been probably the biggest single item. Now it's worked its way into a paid ad in the Penny Saver. Good morning.
Kevin, I just heard that lady that wasn't state mandated, this merger. I mean, who's forcing this hospital issue? What I'd like to know is who's causing the merger and why the merger in the first place if the state is not mandating it, and if both hospitals can exist right now, if they could exist the way they are. I was wondering if anybody knows who's forcing it or why it's coming about. I'd appreciate knowing.
Well, probably the first question is the state mandating it, and what did they actually say in writing? That would probably be the first thing, right?
Right. Kevin,
I think it's time, for these people, whoever they are, whoever's making the decisions, I think it would serve their purposes as well as everybody else's to get on a show like this and answer some questions. I really believe it would.
Yeah, Kevin, I would really like that. And, 15 minutes, I hate to suggest it, but 15 minutes is a short time.
Oh, yeah, we'd give it a lot more time if they were willing to do that.
Yeah, I'd really like to hear from both sides and get it out in the open.
Well,
I mean,
I'm not trying to force anyone on a program. You can't do that, but if I were in their position and I were listening to this show, and they do, and they hear all these things going back and forth, I would be inclined to say, well, wait a minute, now let me tell you what really is the case. And I'd want to get on and do that, but so far we haven't heard from them, and
right.
They've indicated no interest, so we'll see.
Okay, I'd like to hear from them, Kevin.
So would I. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it'd be very helpful if somebody could get on and say, well, no, look, it isn't finished, but here's what we've got so far. And here's the information that's erroneous, here's the information that's accurate. Good morning.
Sir, it is my understanding that this whole thing came about because the New York State Health Department notified this area that they were going to close one or the other of the hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
That's what participated in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they continue the bickering that's going on, the New York State Health Department may walk in here and just close one of the hospitals if they discontinue this operation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not disputing what you said, sir. Some people say that's not true, and that's what I think it would be helpful to have all the information out. You follow me?
Well, they didn't. The state didn't mandate that they were going to close it, but they made the inference that they would.
Again, I'm not disputing anything you're saying. I'm just saying some people don't believe that, and if that is true, then I think it's time for all the facts to get out.
Well, I personally believe it myself.
Mm-hmm.
If this merger doesn't come about, the state will come in and just close one of the other hospitals. Now, if they close one hospital, you know probably as well as I do that they're going to close the smaller of the two.
Mm-hmm.
That usually is the way they do those things. Now, I'm for both hospitals. I have nothing against either hospital. But I think that they would be better off if they went out with this merger in some way and keep both facilities going rather than close one entirely. And
our time is up, but I mean,
thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Sound Off is over for today. Back again tomorrow, and again, we're very happy to have an extended program if somebody's willing to come out and talk about these things. 8:30 WLEA Hornell.
And we got to hear this. Paul Harvey from October 16, 1978.
Paul Harvey News is being brought to you by Bankers Life and Casualty Company of Chicago.
Good morning, Americans. If there are mercury vapor street lights in front of your house, draw the draperies, or your Christmas poinsettias will bloom prematurely. You're welcome. South Africa, yielding to pressure from us, has opened the door to independence for Namibia. They can elect their own leaders in December. Susan Ford doesn't tell Mama everything. First Lady Betty Ford writes in Ladies' Home Journal this month that there's presently no romance in Daughter Susan's life, only her work. Daughter Susan just announced herself engaged to Charles Vance, her Secret Service bodyguard, and they're going to be married in June. Vatican City, now it can be told. During those hours in the Sistine Chapel, the new Pope was selected with dispatch despite dissent. There was a challenge. And finally, a deadlock between Benelli of Florence and Siri of Genoa. It was to break that deadlock that a non-Italian was considered.
The great Paul Harvey from October 16, 1978, and he's talking about Cardinal Karol Wojtyła being elected as Pope John Paul II there. The interesting thing is those conclaves, are when they elect those popes, that's supposed to be secret, so I don't know where the information got leaked in the media about Siri and Benelli, the two cardinals there, being in a tie. We're going to take a quick break, then we'll check the weather with Rob, and then we'll be back with this very interesting old sound-off show, as the Newsmaker show used to be called.
If you own your own business and need garbage removal, contact Lippincotts. And if you live in a town where you have to take care of your own garbage removal, contact Lippincotts. If you need garbage dumpsters, Lippincotts rents them, and Lippincotts can come pick up the garbage too. These days, you don't throw old electronic items in the trash, and Lippincotts can remove your old electronics. Lippincotts, for garbage removal, recycling, hauling, removal of asbestos or electronic items. For a free quote, visit LippinCottsRubbishInc.com. LippinCottsRubbishInc.com.
Meteorologist Rob Carroll, we're doing a show from 1978 today from our archives here at WLEA. What do you remember about 1978, Rob?
When was the big blackout?
I think that was 77.
Yeah, I think it was 77 too. That was a warm summer, 77. That was a big thunderstorm. I remember that thunderstorm because I grew up not too far away from the Indian Point power plant. That's where they took the lightning strike that knocked out the feeder line to the city that time. 1978. Now, see, Star Wars came out in 77. The winter of 77, 78 was a very cold and snowy one. We had the blizzard of 78 in much of the Northeast and New England during that January, and then we had another big snowstorm in February. So that's one of the things I do remember now that you brought that up. So far, the winter's been relatively benign, and again, it's been due to the fact that we've had split flow, Brian. We've had the subtropical jet stream bringing warm, moist air into the country. That's because of the developing El Nino in the Pacific, and every so often the northern branch of the jet, the polar jet's been able to to deliver cold weather. It's doing that today. Northern branches in control today and tonight. We'll see some cloudiness throughout the day. It may thin from time to time, allowing a little bit of sunshine, but clouds should hold the upper hand with 30 to 35 today. Sun up was 7:39. Sunset tonight at 4:50. We're right now into the earliest, or I should say latest sunrises of the year. Days start getting a minute longer each day by the time we get to Saturday. Tonight we're going to be cloudy, a couple of flurries and snow showers around. Weak disturbance headed our way from the western Great Lakes. Lows tonight 25 to 30. Tomorrow any snow showers or flurries end of the morning. It'll become partly sunny for the afternoon. We're 35 to 40. Partly cloudy tomorrow night 25 to 30. Milder weather heads our way for Friday and the weekend, Brian. Friday it turns partly to mostly sunny, and highs are somewhere between 45 and 50.
Now continuing our Newsmaker series, and this is when the show was called Sound Off, from October 20th, 1978. The show continues on the topic of possibly merging St. James Hospital with Bethesda Hospital, again October 20th, 1978.
Call early in the show and get your opinions across. I don't know what the topics will be today. It has been the hospital merger for the last couple of weeks. We've had a lot of different viewpoints coming at us. Perhaps you'd like to discuss that, or whatever topic you feel you'd like to bring before us. 1482 is the number that you dial, and as we say, call early. We will, incidentally, if there ever is a program on the hospital merger with people from the hospitals explaining their positions, we will extend the program considerably and devote maybe an hour to a show like that. I think they could be very helpful for everyone. To let people call up with their questions and I suppose their opinions too, if the boards of the two hospitals and their spokespeople ever feel that's a good thing to do. Well, the weatherman is telling us that the rain will go away. As you may have heard just a moment ago, it's supposed to be sunny this afternoon and the high will go up to about 60. Then tomorrow, 70 degrees. How about that? Chance of rain today after it clears up this morning will be only 10%. It's been raining off and on throughout the night. Nothing heavy, of course, just some light sprinkles. We've had those throughout the morning hours, too. At FAD Motors, friends, on the Big Creek Road, they hope you'll stop and see them this weekend because they've got some new babies they're very proud of, the new Buicks and Olds for 1979. They're coming in daily and they're going out daily. People are buying them so rapidly that sometimes they have trouble showing you the full line all at one time. And that's no baloney. Well, not surprising, really. Buick and Olds have all of the things we associate with American automobiles. American quality, that smooth and comfortable ride. And yet now, those very same cars are getting gasoline reports that a few years ago you associated only with imported cars. You know, when you can get 20 miles per gallon or better in a Buick or Olds, well, you've got the best of both worlds. And of course, at FAD Motors, they still have a couple, not many, but a few 78s left over. And they're making very nice deals on those, along with their used cars. Now listen, FAD Motors is not the biggest dealership in the area, but if you like people who will sit down and give you some time and devote their time to helping you make the right choice and make the best deal, you're going to like FAD. And their slogan is kind of interesting. If you didn't buy the last car there, you probably spent too much money. Think about that. FAD Motors, friends, on the Big Creek Road. Buick, Olds, and GMC trucks, lest we forget. Well, waiting for call number one on Sound Off on this rainy Friday morning, the 20th of October. Let's see what it was like a year ago. Well, the low temperature was 36 a year ago. They didn't record the high. Oh, yes, there it is, 58. So we're running somewhat similar. Last night's low, 41 degrees, 43 the night before. It did get down to 20, however, Tuesday and Wednesday morning. And the temperature has not gotten over 52 all week long. But tomorrow, as we mentioned, going up to about 70 degrees. 1482, the telephone number you phone for Sound Off here on WLEA in Hornell at 1480 on your dial. Been some good news on the industrial front. It appears that SKF is seriously considering an expansion. No mention of the number of jobs. It's hard to believe that GE is not coming with all the good news we've received in the last few days. So those are happy developments in the community where we've had so many setbacks on the industrial scene in recent years. It's good to hear about people who are coming to town. and industries planning to expand within the community. And let's hope it all comes true. No telephone calls. You know, the topic that amazes me in addition to the gubernatorial race, by amazes me, I mean, no comments at all. People just aren't talking about the Duryea-Carey race. But the other one that surprises me is the ERA thing, the Equal Rights Amendment, the extension given to that, and then the Congress also said states which rescinded their earlier approval of ERA cannot change their mind. That's sort of stacking the deck, I would think. And ERA is the first amendment we've had, which is a proposed amendment, which is directly aimed at a court decision. And by that I mean it's worded in such a way that it automatically will go to the courts for interpretation over and over again. So when you buy the thing, you're not really sure what you're getting. And yet, so little has been said about that on this program. It's funny, you anticipate responses will be great on certain topics, and they are not. Other topics, you just can't expect a lot of response, and the response is amazingly high. Of course, the one that's been dominating this show, and I think will again, as soon as we hear more developments, is the hospital story. Good morning. I can just barely hear you.
I was thinking about that hospital merger, who forced it or anything. And I read that article in the paper where each one was solvent, minding their own business and keeping their nose clean, so to speak. And I was wondering, you run your station down there, and you keep your nose clean too, and the other station does too. Now, can they come in and tell you that you got to merge with the other one?
No, but the analogy wouldn't be the same. We're not under that kind of control by the state and the federal government.
Well, you're under the Federal Communications, aren't you?
Yes, conceivably they could, but not under any existing laws.
Yeah.
And we're not getting any aid from them. That's the thing that always gets you, when they give you money, then they got you.
Yeah.
So, without denigrating anything you've said, I would say it's not, the analogy's not the same.
Yeah. I know someone thought it was the Department of Health, but I don't think it is, because they've never had any problems.
Well, there is a letter circulating in the Canisteo area. I think it's a petition, but it takes the form of a rather lengthy statement. That's why I referred to it as a letter.
Yeah.
And the author of that maintains that the state never really said you have to merge. Now, again, these are the questions that, you hear, and people are talking about it. Some people speak about that with a great deal of authority, and that's why I think it's very important that somebody come forward and say, well, here are all the facts as we've seen them. Someone from the merger committee.
When it first came up, I understood it that they were going to pool buying their supplies.
Right.
They could buy them cheaper.
Yeah.
And they were going to leave everything alone, only pool their supply buying, and which would, I imagine, be cheaper. And that I thought nothing of, because I thought, well, that's a good idea. But one thing has led to another, and that's why I was questioning it. I know Bath got into trouble, and I guess they took their maternity away from them. As far as I know, they did.
I'm not sure that ever happened.
I don't know for sure.
They were talking about it, but people...
Yeah. It dropped it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And down to, where was it, Corning or Elmira? That was dropped, too.
When the people screamed loud enough.
Yeah, so that's why I think the people up here should scream. It's the idea that they're taking the people's rights away from them to do a half small thing. The larger you get, the harder it is to do things.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments. Bye-bye. Here on Sound Off this morning. Don't forget Tradio coming up also in this hour. That's the program where you buy, sell, and trade items. And also we have some paid classifieds on Tradio, which I think you'll find very much to your advantage. Very low prices on those. And also this hour, we'll take another look at the local news. We have Paul Harvey and Howard Cosell all coming your way before 9 o'clock. A lot of good listening here on WLEA Hornell. Then we resume our easy listening for most of the day. Paul Harvey coming up at 12:30 again today, and also at 3:05. You hear Paul Harvey 3 times each day on 1480 Radio. Sound Off is over. Back again with you Monday, and join us at that time. Sound Off is a public affairs presentation. Views expressed not necessarily those of the station or its sponsors.
So October 20th, 1978. And by the way, did you catch that one call? The guy who called up and said that Bethesda was going to be shut down by the state health department if the two hospitals did not merge. I don't know if that piece of information is true or not, but ultimately Bethesda did close. And you can pick up from the callers that a lot of them were against the idea of the merger, and they were both supporters of St. James and supporters of Bethesda, the way the callers were sounding. October of 1978. So glad you've been listening to these newsmakers. They're all up online at Wlea.net. They're also on the Kevin page, and that's a great page, by the way. Station history and area history on the Kevin Doran page. Check it out. It's at Wlea.net.